Big 12 Tournament. Nolan, you've been waiting for this all season.
Yes, I
It's been
have.
exciting. Kansas started out on top. Baylor kind of dominated all season, and then Kansas jumped out and beat them at the end. So it could be a battle of the blue bloods there in the Big 12. But there's a lot more depth to this conference than just those two. Obviously, Oklahoma State's been insane the last month. West Virginia's competed with every top team. They competed with Gonzaga and Baylor in the same season, so they definitely have some firepower. You look at what Oklahoma and Texas were able to do. How do you see this bracket playing out?
Man. So this I think it was Sunday or Saturday, Oklahoma State played, I believe it was West Virginia, and I projected that West Virginia would beat them. But the thing that blew my mind away, because Cunningham was out. Cade Cunningham was out because of his ankle injury. So I was like, there's no way their best scorer is going to come in or not be there, and Oklahoma State's going to win. Well, they ended up winning, and it was a really good game, but they just manhandled that West Virginia team, and it really opened my eyes going, maybe this team is a lot better than people are giving it to them. They're starting to come on hot at the last little stretch. So I'm going to have TCU beats Kansas State to play Baylor. Baylor's going to beat TCU. My first upset is going to be, let's do Oklahoma against Iowa State. I'm going to have Iowa State's going to beat Oklahoma. I'm not a huge fan of Oklahoma. They're ranked high. A lot of people are going to take this as a surprise, but I'm not a huge fan of Oklahoma at all. Austin Reeves, he's good, but I just don't think they're all there all the time. So I'm going to take Iowa State's going to beat them to play Kansas, and you're going to get Oklahoma State is going to beat West Virginia again. If Cade Cunningham is back, he's going to be very dangerous in this Big 12 tournament. If he's not, then you're going to look at this Oklahoma State team basically solidify themselves as a dark horse threat for March Madness. If they can win the Big 12 without Cade Cunningham, watch out, March Madness, because these boys are coming for a title. But I'm going to go Oklahoma State against Baylor. Then I'm going to go Kansas against Texas. Texas Tech has been faltering lately. And I think that Kansas is looking for revenge against Texas. I am a Kansas fan, so take this with a grain of salt, but I'm going to go with Kansas over Texas. If you saw that last game, they beat UTEP by 5. Everyone's like, oh, they only beat them by 5. Yeah, well, they didn't even have to play that game. It didn't matter in the rankings because West Virginia lost. So they would have been still number 2 if they lost to UTEP. But what that did was kept them sharp. Hey, you're down by 15. Can you come back? And they did it. We saw that, and their offense turned out to be great. So I'm going to go with them, especially Wilson. He's dominated with Kansas lately. So is my boy David McCormick. If he keeps going on, it's like that Robinson team all over again that they made it to the title to play. I think it was Kentucky with AD in 2012. So it's starting to look like that team, but I'm going to go Kansas against Baylor. And I'm taking KU. I think they just got something against Baylor. Every time Baylor and Kansas play, Baylor could have one of the best teams ever assembled, but Baylor always goes down to the level of play of Kansas. So it keeps it close. If it's a close game, I got KU.
Interesting. It blows my mind. Oklahoma State must be the real deal because you were in love with West Virginia all season.
I know. Just the last show.
Turned your head. It's like that meme where they look over the shoulder and you see Oklahoma State walking by. You're like, ooh, it's beautiful. But
I was like, well, they played a healthy West Virginia team without Cade Cunningham, and they beat him, and that really shocked me.
Crazy.
I was like, what?
Their offense has been clicking. They've been playing good D, so we'll see how that plays out. But for me, I think that Baylor coming off that loss to Kansas is going to really have it out for winning this tournament. So I do have Baylor winning the Big 12, but I'll kind of break down how I have that playing out. I think that Oklahoma State, West Virginia will be such a good game. I think that's one of those games that if there's a betting line to bet a game going OT and it gets you really good odds, I'm all for it. just because that game's going to be close. I think they've had 2 tough battles already this season. So keep an eye on that game. But I will take West Virginia. I think Oklahoma State's outstanding still, but I think that they get a little revenge game in. Kansas, I think, takes down Oklahoma. And then I got Texas Tech beating Texas. I know Texas Tech has been inconsistent, but Mac McClung has been kind of their driving force on offense. When he scores over 20 points, I think they're 5-0 or something like that. And I think he can get hot this tournament. So I have him beating Texas, and then I have them beating Kansas too. They're kind of my dark horse out of the Big 12, Texas Tech. They have good coaching. They can really put it together in March sometimes, and I think that they might do it for this tournament. And then I have Baylor beating them in the finals, but Texas Tech making a little bit of a surprising run, beating the 2 and 3 seed there. But we'll see how that plays out. But I think, man, Baylor's been so good. I think that only having to play, getting basically a free first game against K-State or TCU, and then playing probably a worn out West Virginia or Oklahoma State team. I think their road to the finals is somewhat easier than I expected, but it's still going to be tough. West Virginia, Oklahoma State are both capable of making it to the Final Four this year, so beating them the second in that third round there is going to be tough regardless. But yeah, so Baylor's my winner. Texas Tech's kind of my dark horse team, and we'll see what happens there in the Big 12. I think that's going to be one of the most interesting tournaments, just because it's just from top to bottom, any team can win.
Yeah, I agree on that one. That division's so well rounded.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that will do it for the ACC tournament. We'll have to see what happens there. All right. Well, let's bring up. Hold on one second here. I just want to see the betting odds for the Big 12 tournament real quick. I had them here just a second ago. Conference tournament, Big 12. All right, so Baylor's minus 140. Obviously, they're a big, heavy favorite. Kansas is plus 325. And then after that, you start getting up into some high numbers. West Virginia plus 650, Oklahoma State plus 800, Texas plus 750. So there's some good flyers there to take, possibly making a deep run. Texas Tech 1 plus 1,000, Oklahoma plus 5,000. So I mean, throwing $10 on Oklahoma State to win 80 ain't the worst idea.
Oh no, I actually really like that Oklahoma State line.
Yeah. I mean, even if you don't have them winning, them making it to the finals, might as well put some money on it. If they do make it, then you're just looking at a big profit there. So something to look out for. But that will wrap up the Big 12 tournament.